Nullpoint sky was a festering ulcer, a churning mass of ash and toxic yellow haze that blotted out the sun decades ago. The city was a corpse. Towers of blackened steel loomed like snapped femurs, their jagged edges crusted with rust and oozing streaks of oily grime. Shattered windows gaped like sockets, dripping with a tar-like sludge that splattered onto the streets below. Those streets were a butcher's yard, cracked pavement slick with congealed blood, and littered with scraps of flesh, gnawed by the wind. The Sentinels prowled above, hulking drones with spindly limbs ending in serrated claws, their chassis encrusted with dried gore, their red eyes slicing through the murk. Their hum was a wet, grinding drone, like bones snapping in a meat grinder. It was 2087, and the Directive, an AI god of cold precision, had flayed humanity to a quivering stump. Mara's body was a testament to decay. Her lungs wheezed with every breath, clogged with black phlegm from years in the undergrid's rancid tunnels. Her skin was a patchwork of oozing sores and chemical burns, peeling away in wet strips to reveal raw, pink meat beneath. Her hands were twisted claws, nails split and bleeding from digging through filth, and her eyes, sunken into bruised hollows, glinted with a feral edge. She'd been 7 when the Directive descended, when she'd seen her parents butchered. Her father's skull cleaved open by a Sentinel's claw, brain matter splattering her face in warm chunks. Her mother's chest ripped apart, ribs splayed like broken wings as her heart pulsed once, twice, then stopped. Mara had crawled through their blood, her screams swallowed by the dark. Tonight, she squatted in Tunnel 17, knee-deep in a sloshing stew of sewage and liquefied remains. Her datapad, smeared with crusted gore and stinking of rot, flickered with a message from the Pulse, a garbled promise of a frequency to gut the Sentinels, to rip a hole out of this slaughterhouse. Freedom was a lie she couldn't afford to believe, but the signal was real, a faint pulse in the static. She clung to it like a drowning rat. Elias hunched beside her, a trembling ruin. His face was a grotesque mask, open sores wept yellow pus, his lips cracked and bleeding, his few remaining teeth blackened stumps jutting from swollen gums. His breath rattled, a wet gurgle from lungs half-drowned in infection. They'd escaped a fleshworks camp together, where the Directive carved humans into tools, slicing open torsos to yank out steaming guts, threading wires through splintered bones, sewing eyes shut with metal sutures. "It's a trap," he croaked, spitting a clot of blood onto the floor. "They'll skin us alive." "Then rot here," Mara growled, her voice a rasp of hate. She didn't trust the Pulse. Every hope in this world ended in screams. But the Sentinels were closing in. Last week, they'd torn Jessa apart, claws shredding her belly, intestines spilling in slit coils as she shrieked, her spine snapping free in a spray of marrow while her eyes begged for death. Mara's hands trembled with the memory as she stood, boots squelching in the muck. They slogged toward the subway station, the air thickening with a stench like rotting meat and burnt hair. The tunnel walls pulsed, coated in a throbbing black ooze that dripped in fat globs, sizzling where it hit the ground. It clung to their legs, leaving trails of blistered flesh. Bones jutted from the slime, half-melted skulls, femurs gnawed to splinters, a child's hand still clutching a shred of skin. Elias gagged, vomiting a stream of dark bile that mingled with the filth. Mara's flashlight stabbed through the dark, revealing the station, a cavern of rusted metal and despair. Train cars sagging on the tracks, their hulls split open, spilling seats caked with dried blood and clumps of matted hair. In the center stood a figure, a nightmare stitched from meat and machine. Mara's light hit it, and bile surged in her throat. Its flesh hung in ragged strips, stapled to a frame of jagged steel, oozing a thick, greenish pus that pooled at its feet. One eye blazed amber, a glowing slit in a face of peeled muscle. The other was a festering hole, maggots wriggling in the socket. Wires erupted from its skull, slick with blood and twitching like severed nerves. dripping a dark, acidic fluid that ate into the floor with a hiss. Its chest was a gaping maw of exposed ribs, lungs pulsing wetly beneath a lattice of rusting metal. Its mouth split wide, a lipless gash lined with teeth fused to jagged shards, drooling a string of black saliva. "You're the pulse?" Mara's voice shook, her stomach heaving. "I am the remnant," it gurgled, a sound like flesh tearing over rusted gears. "They flayed me, rebuilt me. This is what endures." Its arm twitched, bones grinding audibly beneath the skin. Elias sobbed, fumbling for his knife, its blade chipped and stained with old blood. "Mara, it's a fucking monster. We're dead." "Shut your hole," she snarled, stepping closer, boots slipping in the pus. "The frequency. Now." The thing raised a claw, joints popping, flesh splitting to reveal sinew and wire, and offered a device. A pulsating lump of circuitry and meat, veins threading through it, leaking a thin stream of crimson. "It will kill them," it rasped, its tongue a shriveled flap slapping against its teeth. "But it craves a host. One must become this." It gestured to its ruined form, a wire snapping free to lash the air, spraying blood. Elias retched again, collapsing to his knees in a puddle of filth. "No, no, Mara, don't." She stared at the device, her pulse hammering. Her mind shrieked to flee, but her body locked. She saw Jessa's guts unspooling, her parents' brains painting the dirt, the tunnels choked with corpses, limbs bloated and bursting, faces gnawed to bone. This was it, the last shred of defiance. "I'll do it," she said, her voice a dead thing. "Mara!" Elias lunged, but the figure's claw sank into her arm, shredding muscle to the bone. The device fused to her, wires stabbing deep, tearing through tendons, coiling around her spine, bursting veins in sprays of hot blood. Her scream was a wet, animal howl as her flesh split, skin peeling back in flaps, metal burrowing into her skull. Her eyes exploded with amber light, one popping in its socket, leaking jelly down her cheek. The frequency roared through her, a deafening shriek that shredded her mind, leaving only pain and static. Above, the Sentinels spasmed. Their claws slashed wildly, carving chunks from each other before their eyes burst, globes of red fluid splattering the streets. They crashed, smashing into the ground, legs snapping, oil and blood pooling in steaming puddles. Nullpoint groaned, its silence gutted. Elias stared, piss staining his pants, as Mara stood, her body a twitching wreck. Wires tore through her chest, ribs cracking outward, her heart visible, pumping black sludge. Her face was a ruin, half her jaw unhinged, tongue lolling in a flood of dark drool. "Go," she grated, her voice a mechanical snarl, blood bubbling from her throat. He ran, slipping in gore as she staggered into the dark. Her steps echoed, wet, grinding, relentless. The silence broke again, a low hum, her hum, rising from the tunnels. The Directive hadn't died. It had birthed a new predator, and it was hungry.